Someone asked me once if I was going to get bottom surgery, and to this day, my favorite answer that I've ever given to that question was, bottom surgery? I'm already a bottom. What do I need surgery for?
/40/20/20 rule. That's 40% gay, 20% homeless, and 20% recovered addicts.
What that video made me realize is that when we talk about rat men, there are actually two subcategories of rat men. You have your New York City rats, and you have your flushed away rats. New York City rat is like line cook hot. His life is not together in a very feral sort of way. An example would be Carmy from The Bear. Flushed away rats are like your indie boys. Every single piece of their vibe is carefully curated to make it look like they don't have their life together. An example of this would be Maddie Healy. The New York City rat's fingers always smell like cigarettes, and so do the flushed away rats, but they're painted. The New York City rat found all of his clothes in the dumpster. Flushed away rat spent hours thrifting to make it look like he had found his clothes in the dumpster. Regardless of their differences, they both probably have stupid little mustaches, and they will both punch holes in their drywall and cheat on their girlfriends.
If you keep undressing me with your eyes, I'm gonna catch cold.
Girls like blonde hair and they like my dick, so I dye my pubes blonde so I can get some dick. I mean suck my, get my dick. We're just blonde boys doing what blonde boys.
We may be low income, but we're not low income.
I don't wanna be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately.
I swiped my debit card, the cashier told me that it was declined. That made me cry.
The Mothman stole my catalytic converter in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Bigfoot ate all the bottles out of my recycling bin and called my mom a slut.
The chupacabra keeps stealing packages off my front porch and sending my wife suggestive text messages.
Perry the Platypus broke into my lab and destroyed all of my innators. It's an ongoing problem. You know what you did?
I know every bad bitch got a cat. Every single sexy motherfucker I know got a kitty cat. Yep. Damn right, sir.
And if you let that motherfucker shenan once, best believe they gon' shenan again.
That was poetry at its finest.
I get the comment, why he kind of ... all the time, and it's alluding to the fact that it might be kind of funny or silly to be into me. Well, you're either in or out, babe, okay? What, are you afraid of the burn scars? These just mean I'm not afraid to get a little bit hot. I'm so afraid of getting a little bit hot. I have severe PTSD.
Welcome back to another episode of Things You Should have Learned as a Kid, but you didn't, so I'm going to teach you. Today I'm going to teach you how to change a tire. If you ever get stuck on the side of the road or get a flat tire, you'll know how to now. First, I'm going to show you where most of your stuff to change a tire is going to be at in your car. You're going to open your trunk, lift this little carpet, and this is usually where your stuff would be. Mine's gone, but that's where you'll find your jack and all the things to get your tire off. So what you're going to want to do first, the car's still on the ground, you're going to get on the lug nuts, and with the weight of the car still on the ground, you're going to break the lug nuts loose. So you could do it usually by hand, but if you can't, and you have a breaker bar from your truck or car, you just step on it, and it'll do it. So the reason for breaking the lug nuts loose while the car's on the ground is because if you try to do that with it jacked up, and you're pushing really hard, the car could fall off the jack. Next, you're going to find out where to jack up your car at. Your jack points can be anywhere from the frame, or some cars have actual jacking points that are little square cutouts underneath the car. If you can't find yours, just do a quick Google search or look at your manual in the car. I have a floor jack, so I'm just using the floor jack to make it easier to show you guys. Super easy now. You just unscrew all the lug nuts until you get them all off. Once they're all off, you're going to lift it up and just basically pull it off of the car. Then you would grab your spare, which would be in your trunk of your car, underneath your car, and put your spare on. As so. And then just hand screw in the lug nuts real quick. Okay, this step's very important, so listen. You're not going to tighten in a circle. You're going to tighten like this. You start here, Then you go here. If you tie in this one, don't tie in this one next. Go directly down so the wheel becomes tightened evenly. But once you get them tight enough to where you can't do it anymore by hand, you're gonna lower the car. You wanna do this as slowly as possible. A little slower than I did. And then you're basically gonna tighten as hard as you can by hand. You do want to torque to spec, so if you don't have a torque wrench, don't worry. When you get your wheel back on and you go to a shop, they'll torque it down for you. And now you know how to change a tire.
Discovering some of my favourite gender-neutral ways to say good boy or good girl by using your comments. Here's one. Well, aren't you just a pretty little thing?
Hey, if this lands, I get your cooch. Thank fucking God.
Okay, well, that's interesting. You know why?
Why?
Because...
Today I'm going to show you how to make cordage, a simple way of taking relatively short, weak fibres and turning them into indefinitely long, strong string. Making cordage is as simple as plaiting and it only takes a couple of minutes to learn, so take time out of your day and learn a skill in which you can become more self-reliant. Just be warned though, once you start working with plants and their beautiful fibres, they have a tendency to take over, and before you know it, your place is filled with drying plants and string. Although most of the work with plant fibres, you can use loads of other materials, including recycled materials such as old fruit nets, soft plastic packaging and old scraps of fabric. I'm going to use these dandelion stems that I gathered last year to show you how to make cordage, but I've got loads of videos on loads of different materials you can make cordage from. If like me using plant materials to make a cordage, then you'll need to give them a soak, but obviously if you're using synthetic materials like these fruit nets, you can twist them straight up. The trick to making nice tight cordage when working with plant material is to soak them only just enough so they become flexible again. If you over soak them, as your material dries out, you'll be left with quite loose cordage. Wait enough rambling, time for twisting up the cordage. You need to select 2 or more pieces of whichever fibre you're working with. Then you need to make sure the ends are slightly offset so they don't finish at the same time. Then holding somewhere vaguely in the middle, start twisting away with your right hand until you canny twist no more. When you start to bring your 2 hands together, you'll notice this little loop magically form. Hold it between your finger and thumb on your left hand like that. Then, taking this top one, always working with the top one, we'll twist it up and away, which is the way the twist was already going. And then bring it down and over the bottom one. This is now the new top fibre, so we twist it up and away and bring it down. Twist it up and away and bring it down over the other one. And basically you just carry on twisting like so. Some people find it easier if they tie this end to something and then they can work with 2 hands like that. Some people hold it in the mouth whilst working, but make sure you're not working with a poisonous fibre. Then, as I'm doing, once you've got a little bit of length on your cordage, you can use these 3 fingers to grab the cordage. Then you have these pincers to work with, and you can carry on twisting and they can be a lot more helpful. As you go on, you'll notice one or both of the sides becoming a bit thinner. When you do, that's when it's time to add some new fibres in. So both sides on mine are becoming a bit thin, so I'll show you the 2 techniques there are to adding fibres. So the first one is just adding fibres to one side. So grab your new fibre and just simply lay it alongside your old bunch of fibres there and twist it in, and then literally just carry on like that. This way you get little tags like this, which you have to snip off afterwards, which is a bit of a pain, but depending on what fibres you're working with, you can sometimes just burn them off if they're finer fibres. So I shall add one to the other side in the same way, simply just laying it alongside the old bunch of fibres and twisting it in. This is why it's important to work with more than one fibre, because imagine if you're working with one fibre and it runs out and you need to add another one. Imagine how bulky the join will be. This is a little bit bulky here, but it's not the end of the world. So the other way to add fibres is to, try and focus it, there we go, is to take the new fibre you want to add in, almost kind of fold it in half, and see this side will go in with this bunch and this side will go in with this bunch, and like before, just twist it in with the old fibres. And the great thing about adding fibres in this way is you don't get little tails